Welcome to the Marvy Woods Football Academy podcast. In this season, I'm going to be speaking to academy managers from the Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, and some Scottish clubs. As an academy parent myself, I want to bring some insight into how these academies are being run. I find that it's easy to approach coaches. I hear from players, ex-players, and parents on many platforms about their experiences in academies. But I do not hear from academy managers. This is why I want to do this season. If you think first team managers have playing staff of 18 to 25, whereas academy managers have a playing staff of over 100. That could be from the under 9s to the under 18s. These are people who are so powerful, but they just seem like these men in grey suits or women in grey suits that you just never get to hear from. So what I want to do is I want to bring to you, the listener, what they think, what they want to sign, and what they are looking for in these academies. So if you like this episode, don't just watch and keep it to yourself. Subscribe to see more and spread the word. Welcome to the Marvy Woods Football Academy podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by the Birmingham City Academy Manager, Louisa Collis. Thanks for coming on, Louisa. Just a pleasure having you on my podcast.
Thank you for coming.
So how I normally do this, I start with asking what your first club, have you played for any teams? Just so the people who don't know you get to know who you are, and then we'll work our way to where you are today. So we'll start from the beginning and work our way. All right, so have you ever played football before for an academy?
Simple answer is no. No, I was a netballer, so I played netball, but never played or got into football really. Always a football fan, had a season ticket for Everton, but no, never played.
So how did you get into football?
So I went to university and studied orthoptics, which is eyes, and I just knew from the first lecture that I thought this isn't for me, but I persevered and I got my degree. And then I spent a year afterwards just not knowing what to do. So did a bit of netball coaching, worked in a pub, an estate agent, and someone I knew worked for the Football League. And she mentioned this job that was going, and I applied for it, didn't get an interview. I was gutted. I just felt like that was my thing. I thought this is the industry I want to go into. So I sent an email back saying, how can I get some experience to get an interview in the future? And they invited me in and I got the job. And
at the Football League? At the Football League.
Brilliant. So send that email.
And when was this? When did this?
I think I was 21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I ask what year that was? Is that giving away too much?
Well, I'm 35 now,
okay,
so
there you go. All right.
You can do the maths.
So where did it lead from the Football League? What did you do at the Football League?
So I worked on player admin, which was the registrations department. So that department covers every single registration for every player, from a trialist to professional in the Football League. So predominantly with just being new into the industry, I was doing trialists and academy registrations. And then I was there about 18 months, 2 years. And the role for assistant club secretary at Birmingham came up. So I threw my name into the hat and then I moved to the Midlands.
Oh, brilliant. From?
Liverpool.
So how long have you been at the club?
So the first period I was there for about 2.5 years. So I was assistant club secretary, and then I went to Burton Albion to be club secretary, then Nottingham Forest to be club secretary, and then I came back here. So I came back as academy secretary, and think around 3 years again. So over the course, I've been at Birmingham for 5 years, but in two stages.
Oh, brilliant. So when you came back as the club secretary, how long did it take you to transition to being an academy manager?
So came back here as academy secretary, and then I think I was in the role for about 10 months. And the academy manager at the time, because it used to be split, she left and took another job up, and I went forward, interviewed for it, and then I got the job. So around 10 months to a year, I think it took me.
What I'm fascinated by is I've not come across a female academy manager in the men's game. How do you find this role as, I believe, the only female right now in the men's side of things?
I love it. I absolutely love it. Like it's, I've worked in football now for around 10-ish years and done the first team, done the academy side. The first team that's a completely different ball game, and it's a fascinating world. But there's just something about academy football that gets me. And the moment I came back in and started working in the academy, I knew that's where my field and where I wanted to be. And yes, it's great being a woman in this position, but I never feel like a woman in this position. So that's credit to the club, credit to the staff around me. They treat me as an academy manager, and they've allowed me to thrive in the role. So yeah, I love it.
So for people who don't know, are you part of the female side of Birmingham City or just the
men?
Just the men's.
Just the
we
men's.
just got to be clear about that.
Yeah, just the men's. And then we work on the same site as the women. So they've got the Women Academy here as well. But yeah, two separate departments.
So what category is the academy, and how do you become that category for people who don't know?
So we're Cat 1. We've got a provisional licence for 1 year. I would think I'd been in the job for a week when the club announced we were going Cat 1. So there was very fast track learning. Any nerves had to go out the window and just throw ourselves into getting the academy ready for the audit. So there was a lot of work that went into it. The owners, they backed us completely. They put the money into it. We've walked around the facilities and you can see the investment that's gone in, which was a huge factor in helping us get Cat 1 status. But aside from that, there's also a lot of hard work that needs to go into it. And I never want it to be forgotten how hard the staff worked to get to that point, because there was a lot of long nights. And to say that, like, when the audit came, I was just so proud, because it just felt that all that hard work came together in that moment. And we had a really successful audit and found out that we were Cat 1 around May.
So you came from a Cat 2, I take it?
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, but you only get a year, so you've got to go again. And this year we will be going through the same process to then hopefully get it for 3 years, and then we can feel a little bit like breathe, and then we can push on.
So what makes you that category for people who don't know what it is? Like you just mentioned, the audit. What does that entail? What is the difference between a Cat 1 audit or passing to be a Cat 1 or a Cat 2?
So I think there's around 370 youth development rules, and then hundreds of standards that you've got to hit. And with some of those standards and some of those rules, they will state to be Cat 2, you have to do this, to be Cat 1, you have to. So staffing is one thing, having psychologists, nutritionists, a certain amount of coaching, and then facilities is a big one as well. So we were talking about pitch out there and what we've done to make that of a Cat 1 standard. So there's staffing, facilities, and then just the standards that you have around, whether it's in coaching, performance support, player care. But we try not get bogged down too much about what is it to kind of pass an audit. And we had to pass the audit. It was a non-negotiable in our eyes. But we're trying to do it in a way where, what does Cat 1 as Birmingham City looks like? Rather than going tick, 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 that ticks a box, we're Cat 1. We want to do what Birmingham City looks like at Cat 1. And if we do that, then naturally we should just be passing those audits, because it's what we do and we live and breathe it.
Right. Do you feel or think that the auditing system suppresses whatever vision you have for the academy? Does it stop you from doing things you want to do, or does it help?
How do you find the whole audit process?
I think there's a lot of discussions with regards to audits in general, and I think to some extent they are absolutely required, and it helps us tick the necessary boxes. So like safe to operate is a non-negotiable. Like, does everyone have a DBS? Is everybody referenced? All of those type of things. And I think it's good to always have that check and challenge. There can be at times where you think, are we just doing that for audits? Is that really what we want to do? And it's how we navigate that. And I think with the auditors, when they came in, they were brilliant with us, and they said, we're trying to catch you in, not catch you out. And I think that's why we've really tried to hone in on, as long as when the auditors come in, we can say we do this because, and we can justify it, then it shouldn't suppress you. But I do understand arguments for and against it.
What does youth development mean to you?
It's a good question, that one. I think in the word development, so I think we do really try and make sure that we don't become professional too soon, that we make sure that the kids are the kids for as long as they possibly can be, and it's getting that balance right. And it's always that age-old question of, we're trying to make professional footballers, but they're also children as well. So how do we get that balance that when they come here, we're pushing them and their standards are high, and we're preparing them for that world that can be a very, very difficult world. I don't think any of us are under any illusion that being in front of 60,000 fans calling you every name under the sun, we've also got to prepare them for that as well, and we know that. But then we also want to make sure that we produce exceptional people as well, so that if they don't become footballers, what skill sets have we given them? Have they benefited from this time here? So we say we want to produce talented players, but we also want to produce exceptional people as well. So we put a lot of time into life skills, safeguarding. We met one of the coaches before, and I said that his thing is always about having the kids as kids for as long as possible, and making it fun for them. So it's both. It's producing footballers, but it's also making sure that we produce good people that can go out into the world with a skill set that will help them from being here.
Development or results? What side of the fence are you on?
Well, that's a debate question, that one. We could debate all day on it. It's both. And I've got my splinters. But it is both, because development's why we're here.
Right.
And I don't think we should ever lose sight of the development side of things. But we also have to prepare the boys for winning as well. So it's how we get that balance right. And that is something that we're always constantly working through. Like, we've looked at some of our KPIs this year on how we can get a winning mentality, but getting it in the right time and the right place. So sometimes you might go into a game and say, right, this game is for development, and this is a game where we need to make sure that X, Y, and Z get the development they need. But then we might go to a Premier League tournament and go, right, we want to win this, so let's make sure we put our best foot forward. So both. And I ain't budging on that one.
Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 signings.
Yeah.
What side of the fence are you on here at Birmingham? Are you more Q1 focused, or how do you guys see that?
It's something we're looking into, because you probably naturally look and you start to see the Q1s and the Q2s have just naturally come in. And then you're thinking, okay, so maybe are we more Q1, Q2 focused? But again, what you're missing out on if you're not focusing on those Q3s and those Q4s. And that then goes back to the development side of things, that just because someone's a struggler in an age group, then you look at their age, go, they're a Q4, you put them down for a little bit, and then they play in an age group that's actually probably more similar to them, they then start to excel. So we're doing a real big push on our recruitment department and developing that recruitment department, and that absolutely will be a part of it. So it's not one that we want to go, we're Q1 and Q2. It's kind of, how do we make sure that we're seeing across the whole age group of the year, and how can we make sure that if we do bring those Q3s, Q4s in, how are we giving them the best possibility to excel?
When it comes to data in football, what do you feel about that? Does it help?
Say that again.
Data.
Oh, data.
Yes.
I think it's an integral part of where football's going. Data's huge now, and it's something that, again, it's like saying the same thing every time. We are looking into data because it's such an integral part of it. I think if you dismiss it and you overlook it, you will fall behind. But then you have to make sure you don't take the human element out of it as well. So data can give you all the stats, can give you all the facts, but also what's the person like? What's the human like? Can they come in? Can they hit the ground running? What's their back? Especially with children, data is really quite clean and clear cut when it comes to the first team side of things. We're taking boys in from all different areas and all different backgrounds, and there's also not a lot of data out there at the minute for academy players. But I think we also have to make sure that we don't take the human element out of recruitment and playing on the field.
Human element in what way?
We'll go back to it. They're children.
Mhm.
So in this industry, like I said, I'm going back to what I said. It's difficult. It can be difficult. And whether they're here for 1 year or 6 years or for however long, this means a lot to them. So it's making sure that, because we've got our vision, we've got our mission, we've got our goals, and yes, we want to hit all of them, but don't take away what this experience is for them. And a big thing that we try and do, and we've got great education here, player support, safeguarding, we want to help try and take as much worry away from children so that when they go on the pitch, they can enjoy it as much. And we give them the chance to showcase their best of their ability, whether that's helping them with their grades or providing additional support to their families. What can we do that also makes sure that we're giving them the best chance to go and be footballers out there? So it's just not forgetting the human, and also not just the boys, but their families as well. Their family, the parents. This is a dark place in the winter. It's cold, it's windy, it's wet. They're coming here 4 times a week, travelling back and forth. There's a lot of credit that goes to them as well, and we have to make sure that we also look after the parents.
So you said they're coming here 4 times a week. What age group do you start from, and what are the days they train and play? Or not the specific days, like how many days do they train? How many days do they play?
So we've got 9s to 21s.
Okay.
But then we also have pre-academy as well. So that can be from 7 to 8. So usually there'd be 3 days training for the 9s to 16s and then a game at some point. We're also kind of wanting to do like a revamp of the schedule. There's been a few areas now where we're able to train at different times and just make sure that that helps the parents out as well. Like if you can give them a Saturday off and they're not having to trek here on a Saturday, it gives them a weekend with their kids, their siblings. And then from 12s to 16s, we also have the education programme here as well. So they will come in, depending on the age group, once a week. And there'll be a day release, or education enrichment, as our head of education calls it. He runs that with his education officer. So they'll do education here in the day, but then they'll also go out and do training in the day as well. So
what's the benefits of day release or education? What do the players or the kids benefit from that?
So they get more time with the coaches. I'm going to big up our education department here, but also that we would like to think that their education can also get better here as well. So our education department have worked tirelessly building those connections with the schools to guarantee that if they come in here, their education won't slip. And Tim has stuck to his word with it, and everyone that comes here, I think, comes better off in their education. But then they get more time to go on the pitch, more time with the coaches, more time with the analysis department. If they're feeling illegal, they can go into the physio department there and then. So we do really see a benefit of it. And there's the full-time education programme now that we're Cat 1 that we could potentially look at going forward. So Tim's doing a bit of research into that to see what the benefits are and to make sure that there are benefits to it. We're not just doing it because we're Cat 1. Again, going back to it, is it the right thing for the boys? Is it the right thing for Birmingham? So I've got Tim looking into that at the minute.
Do you liaise with schools and get school reports?
Yes, Tim does all of that.
And why does Tim do that? What do you need the school reports for, apart from the audits or anything? As a club, he's a talented boy. Why do you need to see his school report?
Because we also want to produce exceptional people as well. So it's all very well being a talented footballer, but it's a whole package for us. So it's, Is your education good? Is your attendance good? Is your football good? It's a whole package for us. And we do the same to the school. So Tim will write reports for each boy, and he will then send that to the school as well, so that they can also see how the players and the boys are doing here when they're in the building with us. So it's not just a one-way system of like, you tell us what's going on. It's also like, right, please see what we're doing here. So it's, again, and we all know the percentages of the boys that go on to be professional footballers. It's really low. So we want to make sure that, for these 6-7 years that they're here, that they're not just focused purely on education, that then when they get out into the world, they've got no other skill set bar knowing this industry, because it's a bubble. When you're in it, it's a bubble, and it's all they've known. So we want to make sure that if the time comes where they have to be released, it's not a big scary world for them. They've got the skill set to go out there and push on.
Brilliant. Good person versus good talent. What side of the fence you on?
It's a difficult one. It's because there's times where you've got the best talent in the world, but they might be the one that's the most difficult to deal with. And that's where there's the moral element of it. There's the business side of it. And that's why we really try to set those standards really early. And we're trying to make sure that it should never get to that point. There'll always be that one. There'll always be that one that you've got to deal with. But it is a difficult one. I think you've also got to look at the level of the reputational damage as well. So if it's a boy that's a bit difficult and he's not coming to training sometimes, or he's answering back, it's very different to something where a boy could ruin the reputation of the football club. And that's where those discussions have to happen at a high level of where do we make those decisions. And fortunately never had to be in one of them. But I think it's making sure that you've also got to consider as well that you don't want to give up on a player because they're difficult. That goes back to the development section, isn't it? And we're here to develop them. And if they're great at talent, then how can we develop them to be a better person and come to training, or how do we work with them? Because not every footballer that's gone on to be great has been the A-star student that sits there and behaves. So we've got to make sure that we're flexible to each boy and the demands and the backgrounds that they've come from.
So do you do academy tours at Birmingham?
Yeah.
What is the benefits of academy tours?
So when I first came back to Birmingham, and it was under the previous owners and just been through COVID, so there was no trips, no tours. And I think my first season we managed to get a trip to Whitby booked in for, I think it was the under-11s at the time, and we were all made up that we were able to get this one trip. And it's just such a good bonding exercise. It's good for the players, but it's also good for the staff, and it's good for the dynamics between the two of them as well. I think you get so much closer as a group in those intense environments where you're going away and you can't get away from each other. And then under the new owners, we put forward a proposal for trips and tours within our budget, and it all got signed off. Great. So last season, our aim was to give every age group a trip and a tour, so they received both sides of things. And we always try in either one or the other to give an educational value to it as well, whether that's going to a stadium or going to a museum, something that will give them some education enrichment from that trip or tour. But it has been incredibly beneficial from last year. We're looking at it, doing it again, maybe slightly different, making sure that we're Cat 1, going to a variety of different trips and tours. But it was funny when we didn't do the trips and tours and we lost players and they went to other football clubs rather than staying with us. A lot of the time it was quoted that it's because you don't do any trips and tours, and their friends at other football clubs do trips and tours all the time and they love it, and this, that, the other, and you don't do it. It was something we listened to, and that's why we fought to get it, because I think it's a huge retention thing as well.
How do you deal with lateness? So a kid is coming late consistently. How do you deal with lateness at Birmingham? That goes from the 9s to 16s separately to the scholars.
I think you've got to look into why they're late. I think sometimes just human nature is just to get a perception they're always late, let's do this. And again, because we're very much about the family and the boy and getting to know everyone, every family that comes in, what their background is, what support they need. There could be a genuine reason why they're being late. And there's been a few cases that we've had over the years where some players have been consistently late. When you've looked into it, there's a genuine reason. There's a real reason why that boy has been late. And if we'd have gone down the strict routes, what benefit would that have been? But actually we was like, right, okay, why are you late? Speaking to the parents, and then whether that's supporting financially, maybe with to help with petrol or getting a driver to go and pick them up. We have a policy in place that then can help. If they put an application form in, we'll review it. And if there's a genuine need, we can support. So, but then there's the cases where maybe they're just being late because they're just being them, and then that's the one where you've then got to really dive into that one. We've set up an offside process that the PDP coaches looked at last year, and they've really brought it to life, and that the boys are all put into groups. So they're all responsible for each other. So if they get a certain amount of offsides, it's done as a league table. So if you've got the least amount of offsides, you get a prize. But if you get the most offsides as a group, then you've got to do the worst chores they have to, and then you can pick what chores to do going up. So that's really helped because it means the boys have to be accountable with each other as well. And we're looking to roll that into the schoolboy phase, just slightly different because different age groups, they're not here all the time. Because what we also want to make sure is that when the boys that are 9 working all their way up, when they get into the PDP stage, that everything's pretty seamless. So we don't want them to come into a structure that they know nothing about. So that's why we're trying to slowly implement things in the 2 phases as well. So that's hopefully it should come back later.
Have you been, so a boy comes in on trial and he comes from a grassroots club. Immediately you and your coaches see the kid and you think, special, we need to sign him. But then there are some where you're just not sure. What can you see is the difference between a grassroots type player and a Birmingham Academy type player? What differences do you see where you're like, he's academy ready or that one's not? What is that difference between grassroots and academy, in your opinion?
So, I mean, being transparent, I'm not always out on the grass. That isn't my skill set. So my skill set is more behind the desk and the laptop. So that's where our recruitment department working tirelessly at the minute, and Mike Briggs really driving that and trying to bring it to life on player profiling and what does a Birmingham City player look like. So it isn't just us going, yeah, we'll take a chance, or yeah, I think he's good, or well, that coach said he's good, so let's take him in. It's having a proper structure in place to go, what is a Birmingham City player? And there's regular meetings with the MDT to discuss and to have that kind of back and forth and thrash it out. But again, you will always go back to the, what does a Birmingham City player look like? So it makes it easier to always bring the conversation back. And then, as we discussed earlier, then if it's a 50-50 split, then it's Mike Scott and Mike Rigg that then will make that decision.
Is sleep important to performance?
I think so. And psychology have looked into that quite heavily. So we do welfare checks in on the boys when they come in, and they'll say how they've slept, and then our performance support department can then look and see if boys aren't getting enough sleep. Does that then correlate to performances, and how can we intervene to make sure that they are getting enough sleep and also fueling themselves right? You can sleep really well, but if you've got a bad diet, it doesn't really matter. So it's definitely an integral part to it, but you also need to make sure that you're doing the other things right as well.
So nutrition is important too.
Oh yeah, we're big on nutrition here. So we had a great nutritionist who's just left to go abroad. And then we've got a new nutritionist coming in next month. And we've got another nutritionist who works between the first team and the academy. So it really helps with the alignment between the under-21 PDP boys, that then if they're moving up and training with the first team, there's an alignment across the two. So no, we've always been big on nutrition.
What is the importance of it? So someone, I just want to eat my chips. I just want to drink my Coca-Cola and stuff. Why I'm a good footballer. Why should I? What are you bothering me for when it comes to eating?
it's that difference between being good and being excellent. So you can have your chips and your Coke and all of that, and then you'll probably go and play good. But if you have X, Y, and Z, and you hydration's another one that's huge, then you'll probably go from good to being excellent. And when there's such a small minority in this industry, it's the sliding door effect, isn't it? That one moment where you've eaten well and you're out there and maybe the first team manager sees you, compared to the day where you've just absolute rubbish and you're a bit sluggish out there. That's the difference. It's those fine margins.
Fine. Do you guys play showcase teams? Like showcase academies, teams that are put together of maybe release players and stuff like that?
Yes, so at the end of the season, if there's any released players from other football clubs, we have had like festivals here that will help. And my understanding is we did sign a couple from some of these events as well. And the Football League's really good at putting on those events and making sure that anyone that is released is showcased. So yeah, we do hone in on released players as well.
So when you're signing a player, is it a collective decision?
Yeah, it and it should be, because there's all those different factors that, again, strength and conditioning, growth and maturation, there's all those elements that have to be considered, and different age groups will have different MDTs that have that discussion. There's always got to be a final sign off, and there's always got to be someone that puts their name into that decision, and that's Mike, the Academy Technical Director here, supported with Scotty, our head of coaching. But yeah, there are collective decisions.
Good. ADHD, do you have anything in place for a player or players here who have ADHD?
So we've done a lot of CPD training on neurodiversity, because there has been a few times where you think boys that have been released in the past, where you look at it and you think, maybe if we'd have had some better knowledge there, that we could have actually given them more training or more focus in certain areas. So between our safeguarding department and our player support department, they're working strongly on that. And Sarah, who you met before, she's on the women's side, but her speciality is that area. And we work very closely with the women in areas like this. So it's definitely a focus that we're looking at. And we also do send out surveys to parents that they can feel confident that they can come to us as well, because sometimes parents might not realise they need to tell us, or that it could help or support, and then when they do come, then we make sure that we can try and help them if they need that support. So it is something that is always on our radar, but also something we're looking to develop even further.
Do you need resilience to be a footballer?
I think so.
Why?
I think you need resilience to be a footballer. I think you need a resilience to just work in this industry. I think it's a great industry and so privileged to be in it, but resilience is key. Football's massive, isn't it? It's one of, not the biggest entertainment industries in the world. So it goes back to that comment I made previously. If you don't have resilience, how do you take a 90th minute penalty in front of 70,000 fans? How do you get back up again if you've had a heavy defeat? How do you get back up if you've been released? There's so many things that from a young age, these boys are being exposed to demanding situations where they've got to grow up quite quickly. And resilience is key, and robustness. They're two words that we as an academy, we say a lot, and we say it with the first team as well. And it's like, how do we define what that is? What does that look like in a player?
What does it look like?
And that's the age-old question. That's something, one of our KPIs this year is to really hone in on what is resilience.
Yeah.
Because it's a buzzword, isn't it? We say it like, oh, they're not resilient, they are. I'm resilient, you're not. But what does that mean?
Yeah.
And it can look different in different people. So it's something that we've specifically said this year that we want to hone in on. What's resilience? What's robustness?
Is it more coping with criticism? How they cope with bad results? Or...
Receiving bad feedback, getting sent off. All those things that can trigger you, can knock your confidence. Going back to one of your questions, but what does resilience look like in a Birmingham City player? That's also as well. What do we want to see when we're saying we need you to grow up being resilient? What does that look like for us? So it's hard to say it's the boys, if we can't go, this is what resilience means. So that's why we've really wanted to hone in on it this year and make sure that we ourselves know what that looks like in a footballer, and the staff as well.
How are you emotionally when it comes to release and retain periods?
It's tough. I don't think you can ever say that's an easy period. And I'm not on the front line with it. That's something that the coaching side and Mike Riggs a big part of. But you're in those discussions and it's difficult. I think what we have said is that you need to make it as soft a landing as possible by it not being a surprise to them. I don't think you should ever get to that point. And there's trial and error, and this academy's gone through a lot of changes. So do any of us ever always get it 100% right? But what we want to make sure is that we are looking and reviewing it constantly. And that's one big thing we've all said as a collective. It should never be a surprise. They should never get to the end of the season and you say, we're releasing you, and then suddenly go, well, where's that come from?
Yeah.
So that's what we've really gone, right, okay, let's make sure that never happens.
So along the way, you're basically giving them certain
feedback. Should be given that feedback. You should be. We've put a lot of focus on player support with that as well, that when they are released, what support can we give them, and can we get them back into the game if they want to, and if they don't want to, what can we do to help them, whether it's an education program or, a few of our boys have gone out to America to do a college program and also work in football as well. So it's just making sure that you're giving them the best safety net as possible when that happens. And again, we always want to get better at that because it's such a difficult situation to hear that. Like we were speaking before, weren't we, where we said that they only hear the words yes or no, but they don't realise the hundreds of conversations that have gone on, the back, the forth, the pull in, is this right, is this not? And that's the difficult thing. You can't give the full picture to them. You just have to be clinical in that moment. But I think it's the shock factor. That's the bit that we want to make sure that never happens.
Okay. As a footballer or a young person, what distractions would you advise a young person to avoid if they want to be a footballer in this industry?
Oh, the real difficult one, and I think it's hard, is social media. That is it's a hard one because we're living in a social media world now, and I absolutely understand why they want to be on it. I get it. And especially, if you get your first scholar and you put that up on Instagram, you get all the likes, and there's almost a buzz, but an addiction to it as well. But that real plus side can also be so, so negative. But at the minute, I'm not quite sure how we solve that. And that's, if I could give them advice, I'd say don't be on it. Do I think they'll listen? No, I don't. But what we want to make sure is that we educate them on how to use it properly, because a flippant tweet or a flippant comment or a flippant like on something that's controversial, it's not politically correct, it goes against the club, that could be a defining moment. So we've got to make sure that, again, we educate the boys. Okay, if you're going to be on it, X, Y, and Z. And we do that. But I don't think they can be told enough because, like I said, it's everywhere, isn't it? We're not getting away from it. So rather than going, don't do it, you shouldn't be doing it, like, how can we bridge that gap to go, okay, you are going to do it, but here's some advice, and because we want to protect them as well. Because when you're young and you're on it, you're not thinking is this going to look bad in 5 years' time? Is this going to come back to bite me? You're living in the moment at that time. So yeah, social media is one that I think is, as I said, it's not going away. It's not going away.
How do you deal with, or have you dealt with, difficult parents at your time at Birmingham? Does it affect the way you or your coaches make decisions regarding the player, if the parent is more difficult or not?
It shouldn't. And that's why, if you've got a proper process in place and you know what you're looking for in a player, and then also going back to what Mike's doing with building this recruitment department, it shouldn't cause an influence.
Mm-hmm.
And I find with most parents, they just want honesty. So if you're honest with them, Because if you're going to try and blag them and bluff them, they'll click on. They'll click on because they're, it's their baby, isn't it? That's what they live and breathe for. So, and you've always got to remember that when you're working in an industry where it's, let's make sure we produce players, and is at the other, this goes back to what we said before, like the children, and they're their children. So you sometimes got to also realise where the difficultness is coming from, like what's triggering that, but it shouldn't and should never influence a decision that you make, because your processes should be clean enough. Then you should be confident enough to have that conversation with them if what you're doing is what you truly believe in. So it's always just being honest, and like I said before, nothing being a surprise at the end of it.
Do you feel you get a lot of backing from your owners when it comes to the academy?
Oh, yeah. They have been brilliant, and it's sorry just saying it because it's a tagline. They genuinely, they have been everything we've asked for. They've landed for us. When they said we were going Cat 1, I was like, right, okay, if we're going Cat 1, we need this, and this was like the org chart, and we need these facilities, and we need this equipment, and nothing got rejected. They absolutely backed us with it. And I've worked at football clubs, and even at this football club where it's been difficult to get, a pen across the line, where this has just been, it's been such an exciting project, and they've backed us wholeheartedly.
Do you speak to the first team manager regularly about any of your potential prospects in the academy?
Yeah, I don't speak to him. I wouldn't say I wouldn't speak to him regularly.
Mm.
And again, not trying to say that I do certain things. So that would be more Mike that
Okay.
would deal with that football, trying to get the boys into. But we have the technical board meeting every 3 months, and the manager attends that, and that's where we put the boys forward and we talk about loans and who's potentially coming up through the ranks. So he's always at those meetings and plays a part in them. And then Scotty, our head of coaching, he has a real strong alignment with Chris's coaching staff, so he will have weekly meetings to discuss about the boys, but also how we align the coaching and playing philosophy throughout. And that's a big thing. And the best I've seen for all my time in football is the alignment between the first team and the academy, and what we're trying to build, and making sure that we are as one. And it's a work in progress, because it's only been around 2 years since the owners have been here, so there's a lot of change going on. But when it comes to alignment and making sure that the academy's voice is heard within the first team, that's another thing I just can't argue with. It's been brilliant.
What does a model pro look like? What would your idea of a model pro be, behaviour-wise? It doesn't even have to be something where it's like, as a person, what would you say a model pro should be like?
I think we can go, well, there's two elements. There's them as a person, and it's them as a footballer. And as a footballer, what we want is, people that turn up on time, people that are professional, people that respect the game, respect the club. And then as a person, you can say, that they behave well and this, that, the other, but you don't want to take the character out of people as well. You don't want to take the personality, and, so it's a hard one to really define. But I think for me, it's doing the basics right. It's, do you turn up to training on time? When you're out there, do you give it your all? Do you do your nutrition? Do you do your hydration? If you don't, do you reflect? Do you get it? Do you then push on and make sure that you do? And who you are as a person and all that should just fall between all of those things. But you've also got to make sure as a pro that you toe the line right, that when you're out in the big bad world, that you behave yourself, because footballers are honed in on so much now. It just takes one bad thing to do, and it's all in the press, and that's then your reputation damaged for a long period of time, and it takes a long time to get a reputation back. So but again, it goes back to education, because if you're bringing, if you're looking at a player that's maybe 28 now, they've probably been in the system since they were 7. So it's also making sure that when they then do become pro players, that you've given them the skill sets to also be that model pro. Because we've talked about that as well, that we want to, when our boys go on loan or when they leave us, that people could go, we know that's a Birmingham City player because they do X, Y, and Z. And that's a project, again, that we're working on with that resilience, robustness. What does a Birmingham City player look like? So for me, it's getting the basics right. You get the basics right, you work hard.
Have you had or heard of a player come back off a loan and it's been a bad loan?
Yeah, over the years, yeah. Like, loans are tough. And I saw it myself. So when I used to work at Burton, we used to get a lot of loans coming from Premier League clubs. And you'd see some boys that would come and just absolutely flourish and other boys that just could not get a look in. Again, that goes back to, and you're not always going to get it right. There's always just going to be an anomaly. But that's having, for us, a good loan policy in place and making sure that we're sending the boys out to the right football club, that we're not just doing it as a just get them out and wherever they go, they go. And, we've said that that's where we really have to look in now and go, does that club fit them? Does it also fit the way that we play, the way that the boy plays? Not just going, oh, well, he's gone out on loan, great. How do they play? Oh, I don't know. It's just, so it's also making sure that we support from behind the scenes. So are we checking in on them constantly? Are we going to visit them? Are we going to watch them? So it's an absolute collective MDT approach. And if it's not going right, because sometimes you could do all of those things and it can still fall apart, then how do we react to that? And how do we make sure that the boy doesn't come back damaged from that situation and we just put it down to learning rather than it being an experience that then they might blame for them not being the reason why they've gone on to be a footballer.
Do you have development centres?
We do. So Talent ID, another thing that with the development of our recruitment department, we're looking at doing is growing those talent centres around the city. There's been some really good work that's gone on over the past few months to get some connections. We're working really closely with our foundation, Birmingham City's foundation, and the setup they've got there with their talent centres, with the players they've got. So it's something we've got, but I think that's going to be an area that we really boom in over the next couple of years.
Yeah. A lot of the academy boys, obviously they want to be pros, but first they got to do the scholarship. What characteristics would you advise that they have to become a scholar?
I've said to them in the past is that when they're 13, 14, start acting like a scholar then. So don't start acting like a scholar when you're in the under 16 age group, because the decision has to be made by December. Yeah. So you've only got real small amount of time in that under 16 year to prove yourself. Yeah. So once you start to move into that youth development phase, start acting like a scholar then.
What is that
behaviour? Be on time.
Yeah.
Give your all whilst you're out there. Ask feedback. I say this to the boys all the time. You be the person that goes up to the staff member and say, what do I need to do? Don't leave it to the coach to go, that you need to do this and this. Be that player that says, can I look over my clips? Be that player that says, can I do an extra few kicks at the goal? Just be that. We've got such good staff here and we've got a lot of staff as well. So be that person that goes, that the coach goes, they're always giving their all. They're always the one. They're always the last one here. Mm-hmm. So it's just trying to prepare them from a young age, because you're only starting to act like a scholar when you're under 16.
Yeah.
It's probably too late then.
In this job, what have you learnt about this job that you didn't see coming? What have you learnt for being an academy manager? Well, I'm going to go into it, and then now you're here, you're like, whoa.
That structure in your everyday life doesn't exist. As club secretary, that was to pressurised role, club secretary, but I felt I had more structure. I knew when my busy times was the transfer window, and that was where I would block out my diary and no one would see me. Where with this job, it feels relentless all the time. Like I never feel like there's an off period. Like the close season and everyone goes to people who don't work in football, oh, you must be having some time off, and it's like the other, but the close season's the one time where you get to sit and actually go, right, and catch up and I can get ready for the new season.
Yeah.
And by the time you've even started that, the boys are back, the staff are back, and the cycle goes again. So I've really had to take kind of that pressure off me that I don't get anything done in the day. It's not your fault. It's because X, Y, and Z has happened, because we've got a lot of staff here. We've got a lot of players here. There's always going to be things that crop up. There's every day there's a thing that crops up, and it's actually me taking it back and going, okay, this is the job. And for a period of time, I was like, why can't I just get my job done? I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with this. And someone said to me, have you ever thought that is your job? And that helped me so much, because then I was like, okay, if it's a crazy day, it's fine, because crazy at times can be my job. And that's what I've had to accept, that lists don't really exist in this role.
Do you enjoy it?
I love it. I absolutely love my job.
Yeah.
I love it. I love being a part of this. I love this club. I'm an Everton fan, but I'm also a Birmingham City fan as well. So I don't just feel like it's a job where I come in and I've never been that person that's like, let's get a job to then try and work my way up and get into this and get into this. I'm just to believe that you should love what you do. And if you love what you do, then you're winning quite a bit in life. And that's how I feel. So now I love it.
Final 4 questions. And I always ask this in one.
Yeah, okay. I best listen then.
What qualities do you need to be a good academy player, academy coach, academy scout, and academy manager?
Ooh. Could have prepped me before we came to that one. So what quality?
Yeah. You're an academy player. I want to play for Birmingham. What would you tell me? What do you need to do? What do I need to do to be a good academy player?
So with all 4 things, I'll go back to it like you do the basics right, and you work hard. And I feel like that with anything. If you just said any role or anything outside football club, I'm a big believer in working hard. I'm a big believer in doing things the right way. I'm also a believer that you question. You always question. I don't think it should ever be an environment where you're yes people and that it's just that what says goes. No, because that doesn't help you grow and build. So it's about having that character about you as well, that you can push back when you need to push back, but also not pushing back all the time, because then it loses effect. So for me, I'm a work hard, do the basics, and it's that have something about you as well. Have that
X factor.
And I know that's I was watching the Dallas Cowboys on Netflix, and they were talking about that, and it's about like having that X factor, having that thing, and it's hard to say what that is, but it's just making sure that knowing what your skill set is and actually just honing in on it. Like, I'm an academy manager that doesn't have any coaching qualifications. What I do love is admin and ops, and I'm that person. So for me, admin and ops, that's my it factor. It's not glamorous, but it's helped me get here today. So it's me going, that's what I'm strong at, and I'm going to use that. And then the things I'm not strong at, then that's where you have good people around you. I wouldn't tell Scotty what to do because he's a brilliant head of coach, and I wouldn't tell Matt what to do because he's brilliant in head of performance support. So it's making sure that you hone in on your skill set and then surround yourself with people that know their skills. And that can apply to all those 4 things. That's a team, isn't it, with players? You might be a great striker, but you can't be a goalkeeper. So it's making sure that you've got your it factor, but you surround yourself with good people as well.
Is there anything that you would like to say that I haven't asked or covered?
No, I think I'm a bore about this academy. I'm a bore about this club. Like, I love this academy. I think the club is going in such an exciting journey. We spoke a lot about the academy today, but we've all been given these challenging challenges, but exciting ones at the same time, whether that's the women getting promoted, that's us getting Cat 1, the first team getting promoted. The foundation has pushed on so much. It is just such an exciting project to be a part of. And just thank you for allowing us to have this conversation today to promote that.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Put Birmingham on the map again. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope I see everyone on the next one.
Yeah, come and see us again.
This episode is sponsored by the PV Consultant, the go-to business strategist for salon owners and solo beauty professionals who want to grow smarter, not harder. If you're ready to boost your visibility and start attracting more clients today, download the PV Consultant's free Google cheat sheet at www.thepvconsultant.net/cheat sheet. It's packed with simple, powerful tips to get your business seen by the right people. A big thank you to the PV Consultant for supporting today's episode and helping more businesses shine.